Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the GSM's Pride. I hope you had a great weekend, but this week I got a little bit of a serious topic to bring up. So I got a little bit of a situation going on at the store, and I had to have a pretty serious conversation with one of the employees. My question to you this week is, how do you deal with those situations? Do you go in all guns blazing? Do you go in kind of slow, quiet? How do you deal with those situations? So I'm going to kind of ask some of the managers how they deal with tough situations that they have to deal with. I'm not going to get into detail of what I actually went through, but I was just curious to see what you guys at home thought about that topic. And also, if you could put in some comments down below, just see, I'll be curious to see what you come up with. Let's check it out and see what the other guys have to say, and I'll see you all in a bit.
Did I do something wrong? I mean, is there something I can do differently here?
This is not an assessment of your productivity. You gotta try not to take this personally.
Basically, when it comes time to have that hard conversation, the first thing you got to do is set the expectation for the conversation. Let them know, be upfront and honest, let them know what it's about, and then address the situation, whatever it may be, and try to give them positives as well as negatives. So if it is a negative conversation to have, explain to them, what happened, how they got to that situation, and then how you're going to help them get out of that situation.
It wasn't that long ago that I was in those shoes on the receiving end of any of those kind of conversations. But I mean, really, I try to be real with people. I try to give them options instead of just really like digging into somebody. And because I know for me, I wouldn't like that. And I didn't like that whenever I was in sales. But yeah, I mean, just as long as you provide solutions for things like that, it's a little bit easier when you're trying to talk to somebody like, I'm saying these things because I'm trying to help you. I'm not just saying it because I can say it, whether it's because of a manager title or whatever it is. It's just always trying to find the way to get to the greater good and what's gonna better the store, better the salesperson, or just the overall environment. I mean, that's kind of the way that I think of it.
You can always go in real strong, but that usually gets a negative reaction from the salesperson. They'll usually kind of clam up a little bit more, or they tend to lie based on the fear of what might be coming. So you're never really 100% going to get a straight answer. So my opinion, because some people do it that way, my opinion would be to sit them down, have some evidence with you as far as stuff you want to go over and things that maybe they have said or whatever the issue might be, have some sort of information about said conversation or event that happened that caused this tough conversation, and just talk them through it. I don't believe in an iron fist coming down unless, it's the fourth or fifth time this has happened and you didn't get through to them the other couple times that you talked to them, or it just never really gets a good reaction. So you really gotta go in with an open mind and know that sometimes these people are gonna lie their way out of things. I don't want to say it like that harshly, but when people get a little scared about situations, they tend to lie their way out. So you got to be able to sift through that and understand and talk to them on a certain level that they feel open and honest with you.
I would say that having tough conversations with the sales staff, not my favorite thing, not anybody's favorite thing to do, but sometimes it just needs to be done. Mostly it's just letting them know where they stand, where they can improve, how they can improve, why they should improve, and kind of going through the steps to take them where they need to go and where they need to be.
I tend to really put the onus back on the individual that I'm having the conversation with. I ask them how, if you were in my shoes, how would you deal with the situation? Really to get them to think about how they would deal with the situation at the same time. So when I do it and actually, get pretty blunt with it and deal with the situation, they understand where I'm coming from because they've dealt with it themselves. The reason I specifically have done that is because it worked for me well in the past. I've really found if I go in all guns blazing and try and just lay the law down, it doesn't really go so well. So that's my whole reason for doing it. And again, the main reason I do what I do with that approach is really to get them to think about what they've done wrong and take ownership of that situation.
You know, a long time ago, the phrase was treat everybody how they want to be, or how you want to be treated. But somebody told me a long time ago that's way out of the window now, and now it's treat everybody how they want to be treated. So I had to try to put myself in their shoes. So if I was getting bad news or getting reprimanded for something, I try to put myself in that situation and say, and how would I like that conversation to go? Now everybody's a little bit different, so you get to learn people's personalities and stuff like that when you've been around them for so long. But you really have to try to make it clear on what you're doing, and then just deliver the news at how they would want to hear it.
Honestly, it came from just growing up in my family. We always were pretty honest with each other about stuff. We could come to each other with things. It changed, well, not changed, I should say it was different with, say, my mom or versus my dad. If I had to go to them with issues, my mom would bend to her ear to me. My dad would kind of, first thing he heard that he didn't like, it turned from having a tough conversation to now I'm getting yelled at. So I always looked at it, and I got both of them, one from mom, one from dad. So I always looked at it, which one would I rather prefer? And I would prefer to, bend an ear to somebody and listen to their problems and then maybe correct them along the way, but not necessarily come at them with full force.
I really think that the approach that you take when you have to have a tough conversation with somebody, just kind of approach it like, I'm here to help you. Sit them down and just be like, okay, this is where we're at. This is where we should be. This is how I think we can improve. And I'm here to help you with every step.
Even before I was in this position, I was in a team leader position, I would have those conversations with people then. And I think when you have a conversation that way, it's not a yelling match, it's not a blaming match, it's nothing like that. And it's just more of like a coaching moment. People will tend to come back to you for questions even before something comes up as a problem. They're gonna come to you with a solution if they can't figure it out on their own right then and there, and they're gonna feel comfortable doing that. So I think it's a lot easier to approach things that way.
So obviously, not always does it come out to be the way you want it to be, and those conversations don't always necessarily work the way you want them to work. I will have another conversation. That one will be a little bit different. It will be definitely more of a my way or the highway kind of conversation. And then obviously the result would be termination or further action. But I always tend to think positive, and hopefully it works out, and it usually does in my favor.
Yeah, having the difficult conversations never easy. Being on the receiving end, probably also not that easy. It's just all about repetition. Try to get them in the mindset of what they need to do to improve, and sometimes it takes having a conversation a few times for it to sink in. So if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do.
Beautiful. Anything else you want to add to that kind of general overall conversation?
At the end of the day, we're here to help. So sometimes it's just as difficult for us as it is to say it, as it is for you to hear it. So, but everyone's got the same end goal. Just make sure that we're where we need to be, and sometimes it involves having difficult conversations, but we'll get there together.
So I mean, obviously it depends on what it is. If it's something customer related, and say they responded incorrectly on the phone or via a drive, an email, whatever it might be, and this is not the first time, then I would probably go as far as telling them, like, I'm going to put you on a little bit of probation from talking to customers or taking phone calls until I understand and trust you to be able to talk to these customers correctly, and without being whatever he was that caused the issue in the first place. Or I would say, if you are really unsure about your answer, come to me and we'll formulate a response. whether even if it's something just as small as a text message, or if they're about to make a phone call to a customer, come brainstorm with me ahead of time or any other manager, and we can kind of load your lips a little bit. But if it goes on multiple times, then it'll definitely have to be a conversation about whether or not we should even be talking to customers. I don't know if you get them to the point to where you got to scare them into thinking, that if you can't talk to customers, what's the point of having you as a salesperson? That's literally like 90% of your job is communicating with customers. So if you can't do it our way or the correct way, then we'll have to have a completely different conversation about whether this is for you or not.
So basically, if obviously you have that first conversation and you give them a path to go down to how to resolve that situation, whatever it may be, if a certain time frame goes by and that does not change, then obviously you have a little bit sterner conversation and kind of let them know, say, look, if this doesn't change, this is going to happen. So say what you're going to say it to them, and then explain what's going to happen if that doesn't change. And just keep it very professional and like I said, don't necessarily berate somebody, don't necessarily talk down to them, but just let them know that, this is the way it is. If it doesn't change, these are the consequences of that not changing.
Well, that's it for this week. I really wanted to do that just to give you a little bit of insight on what it's like dealing with those tough situations. As you know, it kind of cropped up for me this week, so I wanted to get some insight from the other guys and also yourselves of how you deal with those particular situations. Up on this side, I'm going to put up a link to my video to another video. On this side, I'm going to put up a link to my subscription, top corner there, subscription to the Lou Fuse Ford page. As always, hit that post notification button, like the video, comment. I'll definitely get back to as many people as I can. Subscribe to the page, and I'll see you all next week.